The breaker panel hummed like it always does right before something fails. I was halfway through tracing a faulty circuit in a half-finished strip mall outside town, Sharpie in my teeth, when my phone started buzzing in my back pocket. Kelly Miller. The middle of a Tuesday. I almost let it die in my pocket. Habit said later. Something else said answer it now. I stepped away from the panel, thumbed at the screen. Yeah. Her voice came through loud and bright, but it had that edge I know too well, the one she uses when she's performing. You're on speaker, she announced like that was cute. Say hi, ladies. Laughter in the background. Female voices, clinking glasses, that fake high-pitched cheer people use when they're hyping each other up to do something stupid. I caught names in the noise: Megan, Ashley. Of course. What's up, Kelly? I kept my voice flat, the same tone I'd use ordering wire nuts. She didn't warm me up, didn't ease in. So, she said, practically smiling into the phone, I just wanted to let you know that I'm officially finalizing the divorce. We're done. I'm moving on with my life. More laughter like a studio audience. There it was. She wanted a show. She wanted them to hear my reaction, maybe beg, maybe lose it. She turned our marriage into her afternoon entertainment. I stared at the open panel. One bad line, 3 good ones. Easy fix. Okay, I said. Silence. Not on their end, on mine. I gave her nothing. That's it? She pushed. No fight? No. Please don't leave me, Kelly. A couple giggles behind her. I wiped my hand on my jeans, walked a slow circle, letting them think I was choking on it. I wasn't. Nah, I said. You do what you need to do. The laughter picked back up, louder now. She was playing to the room. Good, she said, because I already talked to a lawyer. We're gonna make this as painless as possible. For you, anyway. I could almost picture her on Megan Price's couch. Legs crossed, phone out, wine glass on the coffee table. Ashley Carter probably on the other end, laughing harder than all of them. So I gave them what they didn't know they'd bought tickets for. Speaking of painless, I said, you might want to check on Ashley's husband, Eddie. The room noise dipped, just a hair. What are you talking about? Kelly said, too quick. I smiled. Well, I'm just thinking the Hampton off 74 probably doesn't seem so funny to Ashley right now. Room 312. You remember, right? That was what, March 18th? Friday night. The background went dead quiet. No glasses. No fake laughs. Just air. I kept going like I was reading from a work order. Then there was the Super 8 2 towns over. April 9th. And that cute little rendezvous at Dale's Auto on a Target run day. Hard to forget that one. Your car in the bay for 3 hours and no work order in the system. Someone whispered something on their end. Someone else swore. Who's there with you, Kel? I asked. Megan for sure. Ashley, I know. Anybody else want dates and locations while we're at it? Or just those two? Her voice came back, thin and shaky. You're making things up. If I was, I said. Ashley wouldn't have just gone quiet in Megan's living room. I pictured it clearly. Ashley on the edge of the couch, face draining, trying to remember every girl's night. Every delay. Every inside joke that suddenly wasn't so harmless. Here's the thing, I added, still calm. You don't get to humiliate me and keep your little side project secret. Not how this works. Breathing. Shuffling. A sharp, muffled, "Are you serious, Kelly?" from somewhere close to the phone. That one wasn't mine. That was Ashley. I let it sit. Let the silence spread like a blown fuse through that room. You've known. Kelly's voice finally came back. Raw now, the performance stripped. How long? Long enough to talk to my own lawyer, I said. Long enough to document everything. Long enough to let you think you were 3 steps ahead while you were really 3 behind. She started to say something, my name, maybe, or an insult, but I was done providing content. I've got work to finish, I said. You all enjoy the rest of your little party. Then I took the phone off my ear, pressed end, and held the power button until the screen went black. No buzzing, no follow-up, no drama. The breaker hummed in front of me, waiting. I picked my tools back up. My hands were steady. My breathing was normal. I'd known about Eddie for 4 months. In that time, I talked to a lawyer, checked the house deed, pulled bank records, saved screenshots, and learned more about hotel housekeeping schedules than I ever wanted to know. She thought today was the start of something. For me, it was just another step in a plan that was already halfway done. The house was quiet when I walked in. No TV, no dishwasher, no music leaking from some Bluetooth speaker she forgot to turn off. Just me, drywall dust on my sleeves, and the low hum of the fridge. I kicked my boots off, opened the fridge, and grabbed the leftover pizza box. 2 slices, cold. I ate them standing over the sink like always. Then I cracked a beer, sat at the kitchen table, and turned my phone back on. The screen lit up like a Christmas tree. 28 missed calls. 40-something texts. Kelly, Ashley, Eddie. A couple unknown numbers that were probably them, too. I scrolled while I drank. Kelly, how could you do that to me? Answer your damn phone. We need to talk now. Ashley, is it true? Call me, please. I need to know everything. Eddie, man, we gotta talk about this. You don't understand the full story. I understood just fine. I was halfway through another "you humiliated me" text from Kelly when the front door slammed hard enough to rattle the frames on the wall. Are you kidding me? She shouted, heels hitting the floor fast. What the hell was that today? She rounded the corner into the kitchen. Hair wild, mascara streaked, eyes red and furious. She looked less like a betrayed wife and more like a performer who'd had the stage yanked out from under her. You humiliated yourself, I said. I didn't get up. Beer. She stared at the bottle in my hand like it personally offended her. You exposed my private business in front of my friends. No, I said. I exposed our business that you decided to make into a group activity. Her voice jumped an octave. You told Ashley I was sleeping with her husband. I let that hang there. She heard it too. Kelly, I said. You were sleeping with her husband. That is not. She caught herself, switching angles. You're twisting things. It wasn't like that. We were just... I reached to the side and pulled the folder off the counter. Dropped it on the table between us. Manila, thick, ugly. What's that? She demanded. Yuri, not like that, I said. I slid out the stack. Printed screenshots, hotel confirmations, bank statements, a couple grainy photos of her car where it shouldn't have been. March 18th, I said, tapping the first page. Hampton Inn off I-74. 1 king, non-smoking. Paid with your card. Points number ending in 432. Check-in at 6:42 p.m. Check-out at 9:11 p.m. Weird length for a solo stay. She didn't touch it. Just stared. April 9th, I continued. Super 8. Same story. Then we've got the Target run that somehow included 3 hours at Dale's Auto with no work order and Eddie's truck mysteriously in the back lot. Fun coincidence. You were spying on me? She snapped. No, I said. I was confirming what I already knew. There's a difference. She grabbed one of the pages, scanned it, dropped it like it burned. This doesn't mean anything. We were just talking. Things have been bad between us for a long time. Don't, I cut in. Calm, flat. Don't stand in my kitchen, in a house I bought 2 years before we ever said, I do. And tell me hotel rooms and secret meetups are just talking. Her eyes flicked up. That part landed. What does that have to do with anything? She asked, but softer. It has to do with the fact, I said, that when this goes through, you're not getting the house. It's in my name. Paid with my money before you showed up. My lawyer confirmed that. Her jaw clenched. You think you can just throw me out? After everything I've done for you? You mean the public divorce announcement? I said. Or the affair with Ashley's husband? I'm getting lost. She slammed her hand on the table. You're being vindictive. No, I said. I'm being done. I leaned back, met her eyes so she knew I wasn't bluffing. Here's how this goes. You have 2 weeks to find a place. Tonight, you pack a bag, you go to a friend's or a hotel, I don't care. You don't sleep here anymore. Her face twisted. You can't do that. This isn't over. It is for me, I said. 2 weeks to move out. We stick to the settlement my lawyer drafted, or we let a judge go through all this. I tapped the pile. And make it official on public record. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Maybe she didn't. The version of me she knew would have argued, begged, tried to work through it. That guy had 4 months to die. If you don't leave, I added, I will call the cops and report a domestic disturbance. And we let them sort out who stays where tonight. Your call. Her nostrils flared. For a second I thought she might throw something. Instead, she spun on her heel, stomped down the hall, yanked drawers, slammed closet doors, stuffed clothes into a duffel. 10 minutes later, the front door shook on its hinges as she tore out of the driveway, tires squealing. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was like someone finally shut off a generator that had been running in the back of my skull for years. I picked my beer back up, sat at the same table, and finished it. The papers sat between my elbows, all the little lies printed in black and white. The house felt bigger without her in it. Not lonely, just mine. By the time my world blew up in public, I'd already swept up most of the glass. Everyone else was just now stepping barefoot into their own. Ashley Carter showed up the next morning at 9:13 a.m. I know the time because I was at the kitchen counter, eating eggs, staring at the clock, wondering how long it would take. When her car pulled in right on schedule, I wasn't surprised. The doorbell rang like she was trying to break it. I opened the door but didn't step aside. She stood there in leggings and an oversized sweatshirt. No makeup, eyes red and swollen, clutching her keys like a weapon. Is it true? She demanded. No hello, no small talk. All of it. I kept my hand on the edge of the door, blocking the entry. Yeah, I said. It's true. How long? Her voice shook, but she held my gaze. Months, I said. For that I can prove. Probably more before that. She swallowed hard. Names, places. I need to hear you say it. We stood on the front porch like two people doing a drug deal, except what I was passing out was reality. Hampton off I-74, I said. Super 8 by the highway. Dale's Auto. A couple girls' nights that started at Megan's and ended at hotels. I've got dates, times, receipts. You already know I'm not guessing. She flinched like each location was a hit. I kicked him out last night, she said. Changed the locks at 3 in the morning. He said he was drunk, confused, that you were blowing it out of proportion. Was he drunk and confused every time he checked in with a loyalty number? I asked. Because that's one hell of a blackout. Her anger shifted in real time. At first it was aimed at me for saying it. Then it turned like a gun swinging past me to the two people standing behind this whole mess. Her shoulders dropped. She looked past me, into the house that used to hold double dates and game nights, and shook her head. They made me laugh at you, she said quietly. Yesterday, on that call, they sat there and laughed. Yeah, I said. And now you know what they were really laughing through. She wiped her eyes with the back of her wrist, hard. I'm sorry, she muttered. For all of it. For not seeing it. For not saying anything when things felt off. It wasn't your job to investigate my marriage, I said. But it is your job now to decide what you do with what you know. She nodded once, sharp. Oh, I know what I'm doing, she said. Lawyers already called back. Eddie can go figure himself out, in a one-bedroom somewhere. She stepped back off the porch, then looked up at me again. Thank you, she said, for not lying to make it easier. Didn't do it for you, I answered. Did it because I'm done living in their version of reality. After she left, the quiet settled again. It didn't last long. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Naomi Flores. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hey, she said as soon as I picked up. No small talk, just raw guilt. I should have said something. I didn't have proof, but I had a bad feeling for a long time. I leaned against the counter. What kind of feeling? The kind where they always needed to grab something together. The way they'd show up late to things together with some matching excuse. The way they'd go quiet when you or Ashley walked into the room. She sighed. I told myself I was being dramatic. Megan told me I was overthinking. I didn't want to be the one to blow everything up if I was wrong. Well, I said, they handled the blowing up just fine on their own. On my end of the line, the betrayal was old. For months of bad dreams, quiet car rides, and long talks with a lawyer. On theirs, it was 12 hours of shock and group chats going nuclear. I'm sorry, Naomi said again, for yesterday, for being there, for not speaking up. Yesterday just made everything faster, I said. They wanted a show. They got one. After we hung up, I scrolled through my messages. The same people who'd laughed in the background the day before were now sending long, guilty paragraphs, picking sides, pretending they hadn't heard the warning signs. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt ahead. For once, the man who'd been sleeping with my wife wanted a man-to-man talk about his feelings. I gave him exactly one thing, the block button. The text came in just after sunset, while I was sitting at the kitchen table with a frozen dinner and a parts catalog open. Eddie Carter. Hey man, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but please read this. Then it turned into a wall of gray. He started with the greatest hits. I'm sorry, I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Things just got out of hand. Typos everywhere. You could feel the panic in his thumbs. He talked about how complicated his marriage had been. How he and Kelly connected over feeling unappreciated. How it just happened between them, like they slipped and fell into multiple hotel rooms. He tossed me a few crumbs. You're a good guy, you didn't deserve this. You've always treated Ashley and me great. I hate that you got dragged into this. Like I'd been some innocent bystander to his affair instead of the husband he was stepping around. Then he started circling what he really wanted. Man to man, I'd like to sit down and talk this out sometime. I feel like we owe it to each other to clear the air. I just don't want you to hate me forever. That's all. I set the phone down, took a bite of overcooked lasagna, and let myself feel it for exactly 10 seconds. Not rage, not heartbreak, just a clean, sharp no. I picked the phone back up and read the whole thing again. Slower this time. Not because I was reconsidering, but because I wanted to be sure I was seeing it right. Every line was about his feelings, his confusion, his guilt, his fear of being the bad guy forever. Not one word about what it felt like for me to walk around my own life knowing the two of them were out there, trading jokes and body heat in cheap rooms while I fixed outlets and paid mortgages. I thought about all the times men are told to be the bigger person, to hear everybody out, to forgive for their own peace. Then I realized something simple. My peace didn't require giving him a damn thing. I didn't reply, didn't type and delete, didn't send a long speech tearing him apart. I tapped his name, hit info, scrolled to the bottom. Block this caller. Done. The message stayed in the thread, frozen in place, but his access to me was over. He could talk to a pastor, a therapist, or a mirror, just not me. Everyone in this mess had their own pile of feelings to sort through. Kelly had hers. Ashley had hers. Eddie had his. For once in my life, I wasn't volunteering to carry any of it. I finished my dinner, closed the parts catalog, and sat there a minute, looking around my quiet kitchen. Older guys always say being a man means swallowing things, being understanding, making room for everyone else's storms. Maybe. But sometimes being a man is looking at the wreckage, drawing a hard line, and saying, this guilt isn't mine to hold. Kelly brought her big brother over to put pressure on me. She should have checked what version of the story she sold him first. I was on a stepladder in the garage, swapping out an old light fixture, when the side door opened hard enough to bounce off the stopper. Hey! A deep voice barked. We need to talk. I tightened the wire nut, killed the switch, and climbed down slowly. Mike Irving filled the doorway, construction jacket, work boots, shoulders like a fridge. Kelly hovered behind him, arms crossed, eyes puffy but angry. You think you're pretty tough, Mike said, stepping closer. Kicking my sister out, telling everyone she's some kind of whore. Hi, Mike, I said. Good to see you too. He didn't smile. You're dragging her name through the mud, man. Divorce is one thing, but this vindictive crap. I looked past him at Kelly. You didn't tell him about the speakerphone performance? Or Eddie? Her jaw clenched. Don't twist this. You're the one. I wiped my hands on a rag, walked over to the workbench, and picked up the same folder I'd shown her in the kitchen. Here, I said to Mike, holding it out. Before you decide who's dragging who. He hesitated, then took it. First page, hotel confirmation. Second, screenshots. Third, photo of her car in a place it shouldn't be. His eyes moved line by line. His face changed with every swipe. The anger slid off me and settled on her. Kel, he said slowly, not looking up, this real. It's complicated, she snapped. Our marriage was already. That's not what I asked. He finally met her eyes. Is this why you wanted the divorce? She opened her mouth, closed it, and looked anywhere but at us. I didn't pile on, just leaned against the bench and waited. Mike blew out a breath, handed the folder back to me like it weighed 100 pounds. When he turned, his whole posture had shifted. You did this, he told her. No yelling, just fact. You torched your own reputation. Don't come in here acting like you're the victim. She stared at him like he'd betrayed her. You're supposed to be on my side. I was on your side, he said. That's why I came here ready to fight this man. Then I found out you lied to me. I slid the folder away and spoke up. The terms are simple, I said. 2 weeks to move out. The house stays mine. I bought it before we got married. Settlement's fair. She signs, this stays quiet and clean. She doesn't, my lawyer files and all this. I tapped the folder. Becomes part of public record. Mike nodded once. If you were asking for my advice, he said to her, I'd tell you to sign the papers and get the hell out before this gets any uglier. He glanced back at me. I'm sorry, man. I didn't know. I didn't expect you to, I said. She's your sister. You reacted like a brother. Nothing to apologize for. The three of us stood there in the cold garage air. The truth laid out between us like tools on a bench. The deadline hasn't changed, I added, looking at Kelly. 2 weeks to move. Sign or we go to court. Your choice. For once, she didn't have a comeback. By the time Kelly showed up crying on my couch, I wasn't looking at the woman I'd married. I was looking at someone trying to escape the fallout she lit herself. She came on a Sunday afternoon, the kind of quiet day made for laundry and football. No warning text. Just a knock, softer than she'd ever used since I'd known her. I opened the door. Kelly stood there in jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back, makeup minimal. No storm, no smeared mascara. Just controlled sadness. Can we talk? She asked. Voice low, rehearsed. I let her in, mostly because I wanted this part done. She sat on the edge of the couch like it was an interview chair. Hands folded so tight her knuckles went white. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she started. About us. About everything. She stared at the floor. I made terrible mistakes. I let things get too far. I was confused, lonely, we drifted apart, and I handled it in the worst possible way. The lines were good, polished. You could tell she'd run them past a mirror. I watched her talk about counseling, about rebuilding, about how we'd been so strong once, and how she believed deep down we could get back there with work. It might have worked months ago, before the hotels, before the speakerphone ambush, before her own friends started jumping ship. Now all I heard was timing. How long did you rehearse this? I asked when she finally ran out of breath. She blinked. What? This speech, I said. Did you practice it in the car? In the mirror? Or did Naomi and Megan help workshop it in the group chat before they stopped replying? Her jaw tightened. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said. Is you suddenly discovering your love for our marriage after your side guy is out. Your friend group is fractured, and your brother told you to take the deal. Tears welled up right on cue. So that's it? No forgiveness? No chance to make this right? It's not that I can't forgive, I said. It's that I don't trust. And I'm not interested in your redemption story. You don't get to blow up my life and then use me as proof you changed. I stood, walked to the kitchen counter, and picked up the manila envelope waiting there. Brought it back, set it on the coffee table between us. The house is mine, I said. Savings stay mine. You leave with your car and your stuff. No alimony. No drama. You sign, it stays clean. You fight it, it goes to court, it goes public, and you can explain Eddie to a judge. She stared at the papers like they were a trap. You're being vindictive. I'm being done, I repeated. Again. You have until Tuesday to sign. After that, my lawyer files. That's not revenge. That's a boundary. She shot to her feet, mask cracking. You're going to regret this. You think you're so cold and righteous now, but you'll end up alone and bitter. Maybe, I said, but I'll be alone on my own terms, in my own house, with my own conscience clean. That beats being married to someone I have to fact-check. She grabbed her purse, yanked the door open, and slammed it behind her. The echo faded. The papers sat untouched on the table, waiting. For the first time in years, I realized something simple. I didn't need her to stay or to go to feel whole. All I needed was to follow through. By the time Kelly's car pulled away for the last time, the house didn't feel haunted. It just felt like somewhere I finally got to live. She signed on Thursday. No dramatic music, no screaming. Just her and me at the kitchen table, a pen, and the soft scratch of her name on the dotted lines. She didn't look at me when she slid the papers back. I didn't look at her when I stacked them in order and put them in the folder. Moving truck Saturday, she said. Megan's helping. Good, I said. Let me know when you're done. I'll stay out of the way. The next 2 days were cardboard and tape and quiet. I watched from the hallway as they carried her life out in pieces. Boxes of clothes, framed prints I never liked, throw pillows, the decorative crap that always made the place feel like a catalog instead of a home. The more they took, the more the house exhaled. Closet, half empty. Bathroom, counter-clearing. Bedroom, her side of the dresser bare. Each gap felt less like something missing and more like air finally flowing where it should. On Sunday, Mike texted. Coffee? We met at a diner off the highway, 2 guys in work boots and tired eyes. I keep waiting to wake up and find out this was all some messed up joke, he said, staring into his mug. Didn't think my sister had that in her. Didn't think my wife did either, I said. We were both wrong. He apologized again. I told him again he didn't owe me that. We talked about work, bad bosses, blown knees. 2 men who had to adjust their picture of the same person from different angles. Back at the house, I started small. Moved the couch where it actually made sense. Took her gallery wall down and patched the nail holes. Fixed the cabinet door that had been loose for a year. Turned the guest room into an office. Desk by the window, tools organized, paperwork finally in one place. Word filtered in about Ashley and Eddie. Separate places, separate lawyers, same kind of untangling happening a few miles away. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't pretty. It was just work. The kind you do when you're done pretending everything's fine and ready to actually build something honest, even if it's just a quiet house that fits you again. 3 months later, the backyard felt like mine again. Fresh-cut grass, an old Bluetooth speaker playing classic rock, and Mark Hayes hovering over the grill like it was a sacred duty. Ryan hauled in a cooler full of decent beer, and Tyler started complaining about his neighbor's crooked fence before he even sat down. Normal problems. The kind men laugh about because they're not tied to lawyers or betrayal. I cracked a beer, leaned back in my own lawn chair, and let the smoke from the burgers drift through the air. For the first time in a long while, nothing felt staged or tense. Just a few guys talking about job sites, bad knees, and whether a ladder rating actually means anything. Halfway through the evening, my phone buzzed. Kelly's name. One bubble. You ruined my life. A typo in the middle. I looked at it for a second. Not with anger, more like someone checking a bill they no longer owed. Then I deleted it, slipped the phone back in my pocket. Spam? Mark asked. Something like that, I said. Over burgers, the guys asked if I regretted anything. I didn't. I'd rather have a clean break and a quiet yard than 20 more years of wondering who I was married to. Peace isn't loud. It's just finally mine. The night wound down the way good ones should. Empty plates, low music, chairs pushed back at lazy angles. After the guys left, I rinsed the dishes, shut off the porch light, and let the house fall quiet around me. My phone buzzed on the counter. Naomi, a couple of us are getting together next Saturday. I'm bringing someone I think you'd actually like. You in? I read it twice. No rush of panic, no lonely excitement. Just a simple choice that actually felt like mine. I'll think about it, I typed back. And I meant it. I walked through the house once. Not like a guard checking for problems. More like a man taking inventory of what's his. Office light off. Bedroom in order. No random drama waiting on a nightstand. Just clean sheets and a quiet room. In the living room, the chair where Kelly used to sit was empty, but it didn't feel like a missing piece. More like an open space, could stay that way, could change, either option fine. I stood there a minute, hands in my pockets, listening to nothing in particular. No audience, no performance, no crisis, just a life I'd finally set back on my own terms.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.